What is going to happen in the future in Etsy? What are going to be the changes we're going to see on Etsy in 2021? Do I have a crystal ball? No, but we did this last year and it was fun, and actually without knowing the big changes the year we're going to make, we did manage to predict a lot of things on seeing what trends are happening in other marketplaces and hypothesizing. We got pretty close to guessing what was going to happen in Etsy in 2020. So let's see what we're likely to see in 2021. Hey, I'm Pam Duthie, and I'm committed to helping you artists and crafty people sell more online. So if that's something that sounds good to you, you're going to want to hit the thumbs up and keep coming back here often for more tips and tricks. And before we get started, let's hear your predictions for 2021. What's going to happen on Etsy this year? Let us know in the comments down below. And let's get started. Firstly, the search is going to continue to get smarter. It's already been improving in small steps. And yes, with these kind of trainings, these kind of changes in algorithm, it does sometimes feel like it's a toddler learning to walk. There will be missteps. But the smarter keyword searches have already started, and Etsy has mentioned them a little bit. So for example, if your listing is a sweater, the search will start to understand that that can also mean it's a pullover in some countries and it's a jumper in other countries. They're more and more taking into account the past history of the buyer and what location and even what time of year it is to get an idea of what they might actually mean by the words they're searching for. And a good example of this was last year, the word mask. When the pandemic hit, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people were searching for mask on Etsy. And initially, if you searched for mask on Etsy, you got cosmetics, you got a face mask. They had to sort out that search really quickly to show people what they actually wanted to see, because before then there was no demand for mask. So the system had to adapt and learn quickly. And they're going to be putting more steps in place to allow that to happen. Videos are going to continue to be popular. Now, before anyone says, Etsy have never, to my knowledge, said that putting videos in your shop will help you rank higher. That's not what they're there for. But I think there will be ways to showcase them to help the buyer even better. One thing I think might be in the works, I've heard nothing, but this would be cool. I think we might be getting a hover over. So when you're in a search page with all those listings, pictures there, you might be able to, when you hover your mouse over a certain image, it might start to play the listing video for you. We see this in places like YouTube, and as YouTube is owned by Google and Etsy is working closely with Google, I think this is a possibility, and it would make that search page much more fun. Tweaking the ODR, yeah, before you groan, I know the order dissatisfaction rate has been a big bugbear, and it seems to have been put on hold during the pandemic because there's been so much difficult things. However, I don't see them removing this completely. They might be looking to change it and make it better in the future. And it is not a bad thing. The order dissatisfaction rate is a way to identify which shops are failing really badly, the shops that are giving a bad customer experience, and these ones none of us want on Etsy. But obviously nobody wants this ODR to be kicking out shops that are doing well, to be kicking out good shops just by mistake. So any of these things will change, adapt and get a little bit better, hopefully. And hopefully along with this, they'll keep on tweaking and adapting that system they have in place that causes a shop, if they get a massive spike in sales, to be dropped out of the search for a short time. Now, I totally understand and I agree with this. This is another thing that happened due to the pandemic, when people got hundreds and thousands of sales in one day to make masks that they just weren't expecting and they couldn't keep up with. So shutting you off in search is a good thing, but this needs to get more clever. This needs to get better for the buyers and the sellers, because of course there are some shops that can completely cope with getting hundreds of thousands of sales in one day, and many that totally can't. So hopefully they'll look at the past and see if you manage to cope with a deluge like that in the reasonable time that you're suggesting, then they won't kick you out of search. Ad changes, I hope. Certainly they've mentioned that these context-specific searches are going to be rolled out more to the ads. So hopefully the ads will be getting more and more clever, which will mean we'll be starting to be seen even more for ads that seem irrelevant for the words that we've used as the system learns. But as it gets more clever, hopefully it will really start to understand, and fingers crossed there'll be an improvement in the return on ad spend. Hopefully we'll start getting more sales for the ads being shown. But I have a ton of videos on Etsy ads, so check them out and decide for yourself if you even want to give them a chance by turning the ads on. Currently, Etsy on-site ads, nope, I am not running them. But another thing that we're going to be getting this year that we've started to be seeing is more and different sellers. Due to what's happening in the world, people who have never shopped online before have now learnt how to shop online. These tend to be the older, less tech-savvy people who have never shopped online before. Which is good in one way, the grey dollar as they call it, the grey pound. Hopefully some of them do have a bit of disposable income and want to buy quality gifts, not mass-produced rubbish. So that is fantastic for us. But also with this big influx of new buyers, we also get a big influx of people who don't understand the ethos of Etsy. Think they're buying from Etsy. They're buying from something that's like Amazon, and their expectations are going to be quite different. So yeah, be ready for some difficult customers and be ready for lots more lovely customers. And the flip side of that is there's going to be an influx of more shops. The problem is every time there's a downturn in the economy, people look to go self-employed if they've lost their job. I know I did in like about 2008. I was impacted with that. And I jumped in and became self-employed then. So there is going to be an influx of new people trying to sell. And that means there's going to be more shops breaking the rules. Now, this is not Etsy's fault. However, there is an outcry. People are saying Etsy should do something about this. I would prefer if they didn't, and I'll explain why. If they do, this means they'll have to set up an automated system that checks all shops and all listings, and an automated system is going to make mistakes. So if this comes into being, there will be a lot more shops shut down by mistake. There's also more international customers. Etsy's been advertising in places like Germany and a little more adverts in the UK, and this is going to spread out around the rest of the world. So if you haven't considered international shipping, it might be an idea to look into it, or at least to look into shipping to some of the other big locations that are doing a bit better in Etsy. There is also changes in taxes, so whatever country we're in, we can't just rely on Etsy. We are going to have to look into things in our own country and look into things in the countries we're shipping to. Specifically look into when you're shipping to Germany or the rest of the EU, what their laws are on things like recycling. There's a lot to dig into there. And I can see these taxes are going to increase. The taxes for importing into the UK look like they're getting a bit crazy just now. And yeah, I think governments are going to have to adapt their taxes in the next few years to claw back some of the money they've spent in the past year. So really try and keep informed with all of that. And like ever, I think there's going to be more and more tests. Etsy has to do the science, just like we do tests in our own shop, just like we try different pictures, we try different keywords. Etsy's going to try different layouts. It's going to try different ways of showing things. It's going to try different ways of trying to get buyers to stay on the site. So although it's a pain for you, things like when they're on one of your listings, it's saying you might also like, yep, that's absolutely horrible. They're sending buyers away to other people. But for Etsy itself, it is much better than someone going, no, I don't like this, I'm going to eBay. They would much prefer someone to say, I don't like this, oh, but that's interesting. Spend time on the site browsing around lots of people. So bear in mind the goal, what Etsy's doing, its goal is to make itself, to get the most number of sales and to show the buyers what they want. It's not necessarily going to be good for us as individuals, and I can absolutely promise there's going to be big shops this year saying they're not making as many sales as they used to, and there's going to be tiny shops coming out of nowhere and getting loads more sales. It's going to be volatile, it's going to be different. It always is. If you're watching this in 2022, leave in the comments how right we were with our guesses or not. And yeah, check out the other comments and see what other people thought was going to be happening in 2021. Enjoy selling on Etsy and have a great year.